Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Inclusion and Wellbeing Forum for our new academic year, 2023-24. And today's session, we will be looking at starting the year right, getting all of our documents and processes in place as a head of inclusion. And if we have any new inclusion leads or practitioners joining us, please do reach out on the chat, talk to us, talk to people, reach out on LinkedIn. Always happy to connect and build up our network. As always, the forum is recorded. We post them on our YouTube channel. Please ensure that all mics are muted so that our speakers can be heard. And today that's just me. And Ms. Harmeet is here with us as well. If you have any questions, please write it in the chat, or you can call out, put your hand up and call out. We keep focused on students, so we don't talk about practitioners or name schools or students. So please be mindful of that. Industry experts are welcome, but this is a totally free forum, so we don't promote paid services. We try to keep it very practical. We're in the same role as you. Harmeet and I have both been inclusion leads. So we are in the same boat as you were, and hopefully we can give some advice for the new year. Okay, so some key takeaways from today's session. It's just going to be a shorter session. We're going to go on 30 minutes this year rather than the full hour. So it's a little bit more accessible for people. So we're going to look briefly at time management, getting to know our students, policies, safeguarding, action planning, regulatory compliance, and allocating students and procedures for our schools. Just before we begin, to let you know, if you check in the chat, I've put some links to our channels where you can get daily updates. Harmeet and I are hosting an inclusion summit, one in Dubai and one in Abu Dhabi. We hosted one in Sharjah last year with over 100 schools participating, all free, sponsored by Kinteract. And this year we hope to have sponsorship from Mubadala. So we would love to see schools coming along to share practice, get networking, connect with other schools, and really drive the inclusive framework across the country. Okay, so time management. My apologies, the quality of the image seems to have gotten a bit distorted. The first thing that we need to be mindful of as inclusion practitioners is time management, especially at this time of year. There are a million tasks that have to be done, and those tasks never get less really throughout the whole inclusion year. There's always a million things for us to do. So it's important that you have self-care and that you know about your own time management. So it's useful to think about what are the necessary things for action. Like, should you be spending time on real crises, or are we looking at things that we can plan well? Can we lay out our time well and not get distracted? And that's very difficult to do, especially at this time of year when we're welcoming lots of new students and the students are struggling to cope with school, lots of meltdowns. Some teachers are having meltdowns. We might even have meltdowns in our inclusion teams and SLT. So it's important to be mindful about fighting fires and just be mindful about what is really worth your while and worth your time, and to prioritize your own self-care as an inclusion lead. And self-care can be all about setting boundaries. What are you responsible for? And equally, what are you not? And it's important to be able to say no as an inclusion lead or a SEND practitioner, because we get given the responsibility for a lot of things that not always we are responsible for. So it's important that you have clear policy for your role. What are your expectations? What should the teachers be allowed to ask you, and what should they revert to others for? Okay, so have a think, guys. What does a student of determination look like? Anybody? Come on, guys, we've got nearly 20 people here. Can anyone think, what does a student of determination look like? Or you can put it in the chat if you wish.
I'm monitoring the chat, so go right ahead and put your what you think in there. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer, just what you think. And then we can explore that.
We're very quiet. Okay, Joyce, thank you. Restless, they can. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, let's move. Let's go on. Thanks, Joyce, for answering. So a student of determination looks like any other student. Ah, yes. Thank you, Penny. It is any student who needs support to access the curriculum. Absolutely. They can be any profile at all. Anyone. Now, who is a SEND teacher? And I think this is possibly Harmeet's favorite thing to talk about, because if anyone's been to Harmeet's training, we know that she says this probably every single training. Yes, Anju must have been at one of your sessions, Harmeet. All
Well
teachers,
done, Anju. Well done. Every teacher
all
is an
teachers.
inclusion teacher.
Yeah, all teachers are SEND teachers. All students could be SEND students, special educational needs. So as we welcome back our teachers, our existing teachers, we also, a lot of us have lots of new teachers. I spoke to a principal at the weekend who said that she has 80% new teachers. It's a relatively new school, but 80% new teachers, and there are about 200 teachers. That's a lot of new teachers. And as an inclusion team, it can be really challenging when you have new teachers, because we don't know their capacity, their understanding of SEND. They don't know the processes in the school, and it can be a real barrier for us. Now, most importantly, is to get to know your students.
Right. So just adding on to that. Now, remember, the IEP has the targets that you want to work on with the child. So if the school says that the copy of the IEP cannot be shared, you can extract the targets and give it to the specific teacher. So that's one way that you can get around it. Now, if you keep your IEP simple with not too many confidential details, then it will not be a big problem to share the IEP. However, if you have a huge IEP, like some of the IEPs that I've seen with 12 pages of details and everything about the history and things like that, then of course it becomes a huge document. But again, like Catherine said, always go straight away to your head teacher and ask them, or look into your inclusion policy. It should be very clear in there as well who you can share the IEPs with. But remember, the way to get around it, pick the targets that you want to be worked on for that specific child's, that specific subject, and you can then make sure that the IEP targets are still met, but you don't have to share the IEPs.
Some questions to ask your team, maybe at the end of this month, when everybody has had a chance to settle into their role, they've been getting to know their routine, their schedules, their classes. Ask your team, and that's everybody on your team. If you've got parent volunteers, if you've got LSAs, if you've got SEND teachers, do you feel clear about your role? Are you monitoring your own success? What CPD would you like? What would you change? And what are your strengths? And be flexible. If something is not working in the job description, then sit together and appraise and see what can you change if you need to change something. And we often forget to ask those questions or forget to have those conversations with our team when we're so busy, but they can really be very valuable, and they can make people feel very valued when you sit down and take 15 minutes, 20 minutes just to ask those questions. Okay, so today's session is very short. If you have not yet received the Senko's guide to starting the year, There's a form. I sent a link around for the form. If you don't have the link for the form, pop me a message on LinkedIn. I'll send through our LinkedIn profiles again, and we can send that through to you. We have, how many LSAs have we placed already this year, Harmeet? I think about 80, eh?
Yeah, we are about 80. Yeah, we're about 80.
We've got some really, really good quality LSAs this year on our team. We've all, actually every year we've been really lucky. So if your school or any parents you know are seeking an LSA, please let us know and we can help, we can support. We also have a lot of training sessions coming up, so please do follow us on our social media. And as I was saying, if you're in Abu Dhabi, please keep the 25th of October free. We will be hosting an Inclusion Summit for free. If you're in Dubai, on the 8th of November. And all the details will be shared over the coming week or two on LinkedIn. This will be similar to the event we hosted in Sharjah. If any of you were at our event in Sharjah, we had over 100 schools. We had schools presenting on inclusive practices that they're using. We had lots of group activities where people were sharing their practice, sharing their ideas, and great networking, great connectivity for schools. And that's the whole purpose. Does anyone have any questions? No questions?
Yeah, I think that's about it. You did well, 30 minutes.
Right on time. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. Our LSA forum will be coming up. Is it next week, Nita?
I think we'll have to delay to not this month, but the next month because the LSAs are all quite busy. So I'll have to get them sorted. I'll send the LSA newsletter out and then I'll send it to you guys as well.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much.
All right.
Have a
Thank you.
wonderful
Bye-bye.
year. Really have a great academic year ahead.
Bye, everybody.